Welcome to The Explainer. This is where we break down the big ideas. And today, boy, do we have a big one. We're jumping into the mind of one of the most provocative thinkers of the Enlightenment, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. All right, let's kick things off with one of the most explosive paradoxes in all of political philosophy. This one sentence, it has the power to just flip our entire understanding of society completely on its head. So that's the big question, right? This is what absolutely haunted Rousseau. He spent his life trying to figure this out, not just to, point out what's wrong with modern society, but to actually prescribe a pretty radical cure for how we could get our freedom back. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of the problem, Rousseau wants us to do a little thought experiment with him. He's asking us to strip away, everything society has taught us, and try to imagine what humanity was like in a pure state of nature. And you gotta understand, this was a huge deal back then. Other major thinkers, like Thomas Hobbes, thought the state of nature was just this brutal, constant war, a war of all against all. But Rousseau, he saw it completely differently. He believed our original instincts were, good, benign. We were solitary, simple, and totally self-sufficient. He argued that at our absolute core, we have something he called amour de soi, which is just natural self-love. Now, this isn't about being vain or having a big ego. Nope, it's much simpler. It's this fundamental, natural goodness, just a healthy drive to preserve ourselves, to take care of our own business, without ever needing to look over our shoulder and see how we stack up against anyone else. But, and this is a big but, this is where the story takes a turn. Rousseau says that the moment we start living together, interacting, cooperating, something deep inside our psychology starts to shift. A kind of corruption begins to take root. And this brings us to a really, really critical distinction. That natural, healthy amour de soi, it gets replaced by something Rousseau called amour propre. And this is a whole different beast. This is comparative self-love, it's artificial, it's corrosive, and it's all about what other people think of you. Suddenly, it's not enough to just be. Now you have this gnawing need to be seen as better than everyone else. So here's the bottom line. According to Rousseau, this deep, deep need for reputation, for status, for other people to think we're great, that's what drives us apart. It's the engine of competition, of envy, and ultimately of all the huge inequalities of wealth and power we see in society. Okay, so you might be wondering, how did this psychological problem get baked into our actual systems of power? How did this feeling of envy literally become the law of the land? So this timeline here really lays out Rousseau's whole story of humanity's fall from grace. We start out free, independent, but then as we cooperate more and invent private property, bam, jealousy and conflict explode. This leads to a state of war, and this is key, it's not the natural war that Hobbes talked about. No, for Rousseau, this war is a product of society. And then comes the final act. The rich come up with a social contract, not to be fair, but as this brilliant, clever trick to lock down and protect everything they own. And the poor, fearing for their lives, they went along with it. They actually agreed to a system that wasn't about freedom at all. It was a system designed to make their own exploitation seem legitimate, backed up by the full force of the law. These were the chains Rousseau was talking about in that famous first sentence. But here's the thing about Rousseau. He wasn't just here to criticize. He wasn't just doom and gloom. If that first social contract was a total fraud, he believed a new, legitimate one was totally possible, one that could actually make us both safe and free. And this is the massive challenge he takes on in his most famous book, The Social Contract. Think about it. How can we be ruled by a government but still be truly free? How can we submit to authority without giving up the one thing that makes us human? His answer was absolutely revolutionary. It's a concept he called the general will. Now listen, this is not just adding up what everybody wants for themselves. No, it's something bigger, something higher. It's the collective will of the entire community, aimed at the common good. And for Rousseau, this and only this is where legitimate laws can come from. So how's this supposed to work in practice? Well, all the citizens get together to make laws. And here's the crucial part. Each person has to ask themselves, not what's in it for me, but what is truly best for everyone. Rousseau had this almost mathematical faith that if people did this honestly, all the selfish private interests, they just cancel each other out. And what would be left? The common good, the general will. So when you obey that law, you're not bending the knee to some king. You're obeying a law that you yourself helped create. You're actually obeying your own higher self. And this just completely flips the script on what freedom even means. It's not about that wild, do whatever I feel like freedom from the state of nature. Not at all. It's something more profound. It's a moral, political freedom that you achieve by choosing to live under laws that we, all of us, prescribe for ourselves. So let's bring it back to today. Why are we still talking about this guy from the 18th century? Why does Rousseau's philosophy still have such a powerful grip on us? Why is he still so important? And, let's be honest, so controversial? Well, it's because his ideas literally changed the world. We're talking about ideas that directly fueled the French Revolution. They inspired the great philosopher Immanuel Kant. They even shaped modern ideas about education and how we raise our kids. And honestly, we are still wrestling with the exact same questions he put on the table, that fundamental tug-of-war between our individual freedom and the power of the state. And that leaves us with one last, big question to chew on. Think about our world today, a world of likes, shares, and constant status anxiety. Are we just living in a high-tech version of the exact social disease Rousseau warned us about? Have we just invented more powerful ways to feed that corrosive need for other people's approval, that amour propre? That's definitely something to think about.